the gap. With unity, let's bridge the gap. Between you and me, let's bridge the gap. Holistically bridging the gap.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to the Bridge the Gap Outreach Ministry of your host, James J.R. Edwards, entitled The Good News Broadcast. Prepare yourselves to be uplifted, empowered, and strengthened holistically through this ministry. It's my honor and privilege to present to you The Bridge, James J.R. Edwards.
Let's bridge the gap.
Good afternoon to everyone out there in Radio Land, and to those of you that are listening to me by way of the internet. You are tuned in to the Bridge the Gap Outreach Ministry with your host, James J.R. Edwards. I'm so glad. I've been looking forward to talking with you guys again on this day. And unlike last Tuesday, the sun is shining out bright. The weather has changed. And as y'all know, we are in spring time, which deals with changing of the seasons and the weather. So I hope you're out there enjoying your life, and I hope that everything is going, your day is going the way that you had planned, and that because this is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. On last week, we were talking about time, season, and your purpose / harvest. And the scripture reference that I was using was Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, which says, "To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven." And a question that came to my mind, 3 questions were, what is a season? What is a time? And what is purpose? And before we actually can define those three words, I noticed that Solomon said a season and a time. English grammar teaches us that the letter A is an indefinite article, and the word the is a definite article. So in a simpler form of definition, a definite article deals with specifics, whereas an indefinite article deals with options and or non-specifics. For example, if we look at John chapter 14, verse 6, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. In other words, Jesus was saying he is the only way to the Father, because if there was another way or any other way, then that scripture would have read, I am a way, a truth, and a life. So Jesus was dealing with specifics. So it is in Solomon was recording in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. He says, to everything there is a season, a time, to every purpose under the heaven. Solomon does not know for sure the definite timing of when your season or when that time will be, but you can rest assured that the season and time will come. So again, the question becomes now, what is time? What is season? And what is purpose? Time tells us when to do what we're going to do and how long we have to get it done. And I said on last week that I am a musician, so timing tells us a whole lot. You got the beat, your tempo. So again, time tells us when to do what we're going to do and how long we have to get it done. Season deals with a specific time in which we are to sow or to plant. Our season tells us what kind of seeds we should be sowing when the time is right. Again, season deals with a specific time in which we are to sow or to plant, and our season tells us what kind of seeds we should be sowing when the time is right. Now, purpose deals with the time we should be reaping the harvest from what we have sown in our proper season when the time is right. Again, purpose deals with the time we should be reaping the harvest from what we have sown in the proper season. So Solomon concludes in verse number 1 by saying, under the heavens. He said, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heavens. Under the heaven deals with time, and everything above the heaven deals with eternity. Again, when Solomon says under the heaven, he's dealing with time. And the time that he's dealing with is what we call chronos. And that deals with the measurement of time in the sense of seconds, minutes, hours, days in the week, years. And then once you move from there, you have what is called kairos. And kairos deals with an appointed time, more specifically, God's time. So today I have as my special guest author Miss Stephanie Motley, and I'm going to get her to introduce herself. And she is an author of a book called The Journey of a Teenage Mother, and she has an organization that she calls More Than a Statistic. So, Stephanie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Great. We're so glad that you're back with us on this week as we're talking about time, season, and purpose. But before we actually get into that, just give our listening audience a brief backdrop about yourself.
Okay. I'm from the area. I was born and raised here. My mother is Karen Motley. My father is Henry Motley. Okay. And a lot of people know my sister as well for singing, Jessica Harrison. I have a daughter, Samaya Royal. I go to Smith Chapel Baptist Church, where my pastor is Jermaine Parker. I just enjoy what I do as far as More Than a Statistic. It is my passion, and that opened up doors for me to become one of the co-authors for The Journey of a Teenage Mother.
Great. Now, tell me something. What is More Than a Statistic?
More Than a Statistic is a support group for single and teen mothers. We're a nonprofit organization, but I like to call it a sisterhood for the single and teen mothers. What we do, we empower and encourage each other to move forward. I've seen so many girls that drop out of high school. They never really try to go to college. They never push past the fact that they had a child young. So what I want to do is be that person to encourage them, to let them know, hey, you can do it. You know, it will be hard. You know, it's more things that you will have to carry along on this journey now that you have a child or children, but you still can do it. And so I don't want to leave them, you know, back. I want to take them with me. You know, when we succeed, a lot of times we leave people behind that we can teach them sometimes how to be successful or the way you got to where you are.
Okay, great. Now, again, many of you that listened last week, and some of you may have even went on YouTube and watched our video from last week. So we kind of got some of the preliminaries out of the way. But this week, I was actually reading some excerpts from your writing, and I was telling, I made a post on Facebook. I said, I believe this is going to be a very not so much intense, but an enlightening, empowering conversation on today. Now, as it relates to time, season, and purpose, how did you know it was your time to actually even launch out with writing of the book?
I know last week I spoke about that the equipment was starting to be placed in my life as far as people and things that are attached. But also, it's like the birthing of a child, the different trimesters and stuff like that. When I started writing everything down, and once I was writing and I started putting things into play, you know, you start seeing the baby develop.
Right.
Well, I started seeing it develop. And then, you know, after getting to it, you see the movement. You start making connections with people, and the name starts getting out there. And next thing you know, you've given birth. You've got everything that you need. All the limbs and the features are there, everything you need. And that's how it happened. So I knew then, it was like not until really I saw it for myself that I knew, okay, this is really it. So it was still, as the planning time went on and the producing time was going on, I was still doubting. You know, I can't deny that.
Right.
But it wasn't until, you know, pretty much the end of last year, beginning of this year, when I was saying, okay, I'm still here, that this was really the time for it.
Okay. Well, I must give you kudos because one of the listening viewers was actually saying, you know, I think you're 23? 24. Mm-hmm. And one of them was like, they messaged me and said, you know, she sounds very grounded for her. They thought you were a little older than what you are.
Yes.
Now, as far as season, I proposed a question. I said, is it possible for us to miss God in the sense of missing our time and missing our season? Now, understand that the scripture says that all things work together for the good of them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Now, with that scripture in the forefront of our minds, we know that God's purpose will manifest itself no matter what.
Right, correct.
And everything that we go through, I believe, is going to kind of bridge us back or bring us back to God's ultimate purpose.
Right.
But is it possible that we could, in your opinion, from a younger person, that we can miss our time and miss our season?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel that way because we get caught up in other people's opinion, our own fears and doubt, and we miss our opportunity. Well, maybe this wasn't God that said, maybe this isn't the time. Maybe I missed God, so I'm going to, hold off. Or we think somebody else is supposed to go before us or do it before we do it, and we miss. But how it gets back to the scripture, it works, together for our good, is God's grace and mercy. He gives us another chance to, get it right, or he allows us to go through something to make us come right back to the very point that he wanted us to start with.
Now, as I conclude, when I conclude my broadcast, I often say, and I leave it on my post, don't allow the pains of your past to punish your present and paralyze your future. And I say, keep pushing and keep pressing. That's my motto. Now,
Let's bridge the gap.